Okay, so you mentioned Arizona. You're the third state called. Do you have a senator that you're paired with that's going to object in writing as well? And are you going to be the House member from Arizona that will be objecting?
We believe we do have a senator. I'm not free to say who it is, but we've decided that the dean of our Republican delegation, who's Paul Gosar, will make the formal statement of objection and on the floor, and then I will, of course, be speaking to the issue, and I'm hoping that I can get yield some time to me so I'm not limited to 5 minutes.
Okay, and are you just focusing on Arizona, or are you part of a bigger effort to coordinate other states that are doing this?
Well, I'm working with Jim Jordan and Mo Brooks to coordinate the overall effort. Of course, my primary assignment is Arizona, and we're trying to divvy up speakers, working with the Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's office as well. So it's kind of an all hands on deck here in the House. A lot of people, well, probably I would say almost 3/4 of the entire Republican conference are going to sign on to these objections. Well, that's what we expect anyway.
So for those who aren't paying attention, they basically start calling these states in alphabetical order. Arizona comes up. Someone, as you mentioned, Paul Gosar, the dean of your Arizona delegation, will object. And then hopefully you have a senator. That will then allow the House and the Senate to meet in their respective bodies to debate for up to 2 hours the merits of the challenge. So walk me through, what's the challenge to Arizona's electors being sat for Joe Biden?
So I'll just give you 2 quick ones, Sean, that I think really highlight not just Arizona, but all of these states. One is what I would call a constitutional objection, an Article 1, Section 4 problem, which gives the states legislatures the ability to set the time, place, and manner of federal elections. Well, what happened in Arizona is the opponents, very left-wing organizations, felt like they weren't able to get all the registered voters done by the deadline, which was set by the legislature, which is part of what the manner of the election. And so they went out and they filed a lawsuit, and the court, the federal court, basically said, you know, that deadline is appropriate, it's constitutional, but we're going to go ahead and extend for 18 days the ability to register to vote. And although that got pared back a few days, literally tens of thousands of people were allowed to register to vote and participate in the election, which, as one judge noted, is exactly the opposite of the law set by the legislature. So that is a constitutional violation. The other one, we have multiple incidents of this, but the most striking is where the state's Judiciary Committee said, look, after holding a hearing, they said, we think there's enough there to ask for an independent audit. So they issued subpoenas to try to get discovery and find out what really went on in the election. And the body that controls those machines and the ballots and everything else basically said, we're going to ignore your subpoenas. We're not going to respond at all. And then they filed a lawsuit, meaning the County Board of Supervisors filed a lawsuit. And now the legislature fought one back. So you have this inability to actually get at what happened because the people who control the information are prohibiting it from happening. And so that's one of those deals where you look at it and you say, I thought maybe you're hiding a little bit behind some coattails. You don't want us to really know what happened. Why is that? And so those 2 things right there really, both the legal issue as well as the constitutional issue, really resonate with the people. And then we have affidavits, the whole series of things indicating fraud and other kind of issues that went on there. But these are the 2 main places that I think we're going to open up with.
Okay, and how many other states do you expect to be objected to?
I anticipate that 6 states from the House will be objected to. The question is, will we have all 6 objected to by the Senate? I hope we do.
Okay, and you remember, it's funny that Democrats in the media, if you listen to them, will talk about how they'll say that this is an assault on democracy, and yet this has happened before. It happened in 2001, 2004. and 2016. In fact, Stephanie Tobes Jones, a House member, and Barbara Boxer, senator from California, in 2005 said this.
The objection today is raised because there are irregularities across this country with regard to voting. And we as a Congress have an obligation to step up to the plate and correct them.
Our people are dying all over the world. A lot from my state. For what reason? To bring democracy to the far corners of the world. Let's fix it here, and let's do it first thing out.
Congressman, it's interesting that when you guys do this, it's an assault on democracy. When the Democrats did this, it was sort of them taking advantage of the process. Why is it different this time?
It's because it's conservatives and Republicans that are doing it. It's always a double standard with our friends on the left. I mean, that's what it boils down to. They say, oh, yeah, when we do it, it's perfectly fine. It's the process. It's constitutional. And in fact, not only is it constitutional, it respects the Constitution and respects the American people. But by golly, if conservatives or Republicans do it, you know what? You're trying to tear down the country. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We think, of course, that we are standing in the breach between those who are on the left that are trying to manipulate not just this election, but set on course with the foundation for moving in a course that will change the very trajectory of this nation and turn it into something that neither you nor I recognize just a few years from now.
Congressman Eddie Biggs, chairman of the House Freedom Caucus, thank you for keeping us up to date on what's happening. Obviously, we will be monitoring this situation very closely at Newsmax and look forward to having you back and giving us an update on what happened and how it went down. Appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Look forward to giving you an